it will be my episode on Mondays with
Meg
and Thom,
whoop whoop,
where on this third Monday in the season of Lent, I want to talk about, and hopefully this will spark something in you, to talk back at me, that you won't just sit there and let me monologue.
No, usually I talk back.
Okay. I want to talk about, at this point in the story, what we're hearing a lot is Jesus turns his face toward Jerusalem. He begins to tell the disciples and the apostles, those who are following him, what's going to happen. And, no matter what, in the synoptics, whenever you read Jesus turning and saying what's going to happen, they don't get it, or they're scared, they don't want to talk about it. And they're still holding on to,
you're going to be with us forever, right?
Yeah, their old ideas of what they think is going to really happen once they get to Jerusalem. But Jesus has turned his face towards Jerusalem and is telling them about the cross that awaits him there. And at this point in the story, you all right? Okay. At this point in the story,
I had a tickle.
It is still very much the cross of Rome. It is the cross of empire. It is the cross of the state that is used to murder or silence dissidents, to create a public, very violent public message of this is what happens to people who speak against Rome.
Right, against the empire.
And in that way, it is also, I see it also as the cross of human violence. It's not just Rome's cross, but it's all our violence and what we do. It's those paths that we choose. I mean, the cross is symbolic of all that, and that concept of then our crucifying or killing God upon that cross to either replace God or to be God, whatever that case may be. I feel like that's where, at this point, the story is going. That's the piece that I'm not sure gets spoken aloud much.
Well, I think we have a hard time. I read something the other day. I don't know if it was in poetry or an article or something, but it was like, the one you killed, the one God raised.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of part of the liturgy that we do here on Good Friday, and it's kind of a conversation between God and the people, and it's about God. In that, God is saying, I did this for you, I prepared this for you, I showed you this, but you prepared a cross, the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you brought violence.
Yeah. When people try to play God, oh man, it's wrong.
But what does it usually look like?
Somebody else dying.
Somebody else dies.
Right.
You build your power or base or whatever.
Right.
You find somebody else to put on that cross, one, to show your power or dominance. But there's always, you kind of, what you do is you sort of, it's like you bring somebody along into the violence. So I say, oh, Meg, the reason you're not succeeding in life, or all your dreams aren't coming down, the thumb that's on you is because of this person agenda, or these people over here who are usually a small, powerless minority, but we are going to feel powerful together by pouring upon them cruelty.
By squashing.
And that's the way we're going to lift ourselves up.
Right.
We're going to raise ourselves up.
No, I'm not raising up to that. No, thank you.
To the power of God who has power. But it's not the power of life and death. It's just the power of death.
Right.
So I like thought experiments. Little thought experiments to make people think about something.
You just like experiments.
I like that too. I like thought experiments. And so, it's kind of like, let's say you are the mayor of Winston-Salem.
Okay.
And in that case, you're the mayor. You control Winston-Salem, not the title or whatever.
Right.
You're the king, the queen, the ruler of Winston-Salem.
Okay.
And you know that Winston-Salem can be a successful town, that people can have riches and wealth and their lives will be good. But in order to get that, you have to kill 500 people yearly in order to get that. Somebody has to, you have to choose what 500 people.
No.
It's not a random thing.
No.
You've got to make a choice that these 500 people have to die. Whether it be, you crucify, let's say you crucify them along, what's the road we're on?
Do you know what my brain says?
You crucify them along Silas Creek Parkway. But in doing that, you'll stay mayor and have all the power and the whatever, and the people in Winston-Salem, everyone else, will also benefit but those people, that's the cost.
Okay, you know what my brain does?
Okay, what does your brain
in this thought experiment? The first thing my brain does is go, absolutely not.
Yeah.
The second thing, and this is really bad, but the second thing my brain does is goes, we take out the rich first then.
Okay, so see, you already pick a...
Yeah.
But how many of our regular everyday systems operate that somebody has to pay for
somebody
this?
has to be squashed.
Somebody's got to be squashed.
Right.
Whether it's, we talk about cheap fashion or whatever, somebody has to work for nothing in the factories to make the stuff.
Right.
Somebody in their backyard has to have all the stuff that then doesn't get sold because it gets thrown away.
Right.
It doesn't get reused or recycled.
It generates more waste.
Or broken down and made again. Right. It just gets thrown away and creates more waste. That's got to go into somebody's backyard. So just to have your cheap fashion, you're killing people they're the ones who have to make it. So you're killing them.
Right.
And you're killing people because you're destroying where they live.
Right.
And what else is it going to be? Is it going to be,
Well, and then it's like it's. Oh, here we go.
But to me, that's a lot of this gospel story, right? That's the bigger meaning. But go ahead. You were getting ready to go.
It just makes me then think of the cradle to prison pipeline.
Who benefits from that?
Not minority people.
But somebody benefits from it. We put some folks down.
Right.
So some can benefit. And we decide who's disposable.
Right.
Or who is it in our best interest to kill. Right? So one of the arguments for killing Jesus is if we kill him, it will keep others safe.
Right.
Right?
Well, and it'll keep others from
following and an uprising or whatever the case may be. So see, it's beneficial that we kill him. We take.
Who says that? That's one of the things, right? In one of the gospel stories.
Yeah. Somebody
says, "Isn't it better that we take out one than for the whole nation
for all of us to suffer?"
Yeah. That's in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't. I wish I could.
Is it Pilate in
no,
one of them?
No, it's one of the members of the council.
Okay.
I think.
It's better that we take out the
It's better
one.
for us to crucify these 500 along Silas Creek Parkway, so that all
Than
may
for
benefit.
all of
than
Winston
all of
to
us
suffer.
to suffer, isn't it? Isn't it better for somewhere that we don't see
No, because there's
to suffer so
there's-
that we can prosper? I mean, we don't see them. We don't engage in that. Doesn't. I mean, even when you look at the way towns are made, where do we put the pieces of modern
the parts
living
of town that we don't want to see.
that we don't want to see? Where does that go? Does that go over here and we sacrifice these people, or does it go over here and we pollute the land and the water for these people? So we sacrifice them,
Right.
but we can so that we may have
But
life
downtown
abundant.
gets to thrive.
So we're always kind of making those choices. But what happens when
Right.
we then turn also then and we place, I mean, to think about what happens when you kill the divine?
It's that hatred for the other,
Mm-hmm.
for the outcast, for the fringe, for the minority. That's
And the
just...
divine. Do we have hatred for the
No,
divine?
no, I'm saying like it's any time that I mean, yeah, because he was all those things. But it's like any time that you do those things that you
Right.
don't take care of, like in Old Testament language, it's always the widow, the orphan, the poor, the alien.
Right.
In the New Testament, it's the least of these. I think that's just another slap in the face to the divine.
Mm-hmm.
Each time you fail to take care of the least of these. So the last 2 seasons of Lent,
Right.
all pandemic,
All pandemic.
heavy. This season of Lent, with everything that's going on in the world, both here and everywhere overseas.
Right. Continuing pandemic
Right.
around the world.
Right, continuing pandemic.
We may be experiencing relief.
For now.
And then we kind of think, well, isn't everybody?
Right, no, not everybody.
Not everybody.
So it's like the pandemic is still grasping. There's everything that's happening
Then we
in
see
Ukraine.
war in
There's
Ukraine,
Yemen that nobody's talking about.
which has been going on for years and years.
Yeah, but then yesterday the UN has finally come out and been like, the hunger crisis is a catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can do about it anymore.
Mhm.
And it's just like, oh, okay, wonderful. And then you've got legislation happening in Idaho, in Illinois, in Missouri, in Florida that's just hurtful.
Right, but it excites the base.
Right. But it's just like, it just feels like a season. It's like, and everyone's going to want to go, but Easter and hope and resurrection, all that's coming. And it's like, yeah, but it's not here right now.
Right. We're
And
traveling
I don't know
to,
how you can even see it yet.
We're traveling to Jerusalem. You got to go through Jerusalem.
Right.
You've got to reconcile
Right. It's got to get worse
with
first.
the cross that's coming.
Right.
The cross that is, the cross we're building, the cross that we keep repeating.
Yes. Yeah.
Or there isn't anything on the other side.
Right.
If you can't
Right. If you can't get through that part.
fully acknowledge your part in death,
Mhm.
then
Right.
you won't get to resurrection.
Right. There is no empty tomb if you can't.
Right. You just keep filling the tombs up.
Right. Literally.
Literally. Keep filling the tombs up. I mean, that's the contrast. I think that's the contrast. That's what you're saying. You know, Easter can't just be this thing or for this one. I mean, resurrection isn't about Jesus the individual. It is this contrast of whether you call it vision or being or whatever, you know, between that cross that he goes to and is put upon,
Mm-hmm.
and then the cross that is empty to show, you know, show it has no power on the other. You tried to kill the divine.
Right.
The divine says no.
Right.
But the divine doesn't say no. and I'm going to show you a bigger cross and give
Right,
you a
right,
bigger smack
right.
down. The divine says, that's you.
Thank you.
The divine says no. And then there's this other thing on the other side. There's this other gift. It's like,
Right.
I'm still going to give.
Right. You've taken everything.
And show you does this not now shine enough light on the darkness that you'll finally abandon the darkness?
Right.
That you'll finally stop doing this, that you will mend your ways, that you will repent, that you will turn away. You know, to turn to God is to turn away from this other stuff.
Right.
But we want to do the funny trick where one eyeball goes this way and the other
one
eyeball
goes
goes
that
that way. And
way.
we keep our eyes fully on both,
Right.
Kind of thing. But
Right.
that this journey of Lent, if we're looking for something really to let go of, it's letting go of the cross of violence, right? You've got to finally let go of that.
I think what I have to keep coming back to. I talked about it with a friend. I think I told you the other day. It's like, it's anti-anxiety and anti-depression meds. And the fact that in life and in death I belong to God.
Right.
But then I was talking with somebody else, and it was this is my new favorite thing that I really like hearing right now for who we are as Christians, is we are people living in between the promise and fulfillment. You can't give up. There's no giving up. But you have to remember what it's like to be that people.
Right. So do we chip away then on what the real promise is?
Yeah, what is the promise?
We replace the promise with shiny.
Right.
Happy.
Right.
Self-interest.
Right.
Let's talk about the promise for you as an individual, right?
Yeah, it's what you
the
just
promise?
think you're just like, oh, the promise is that I'm going to
skirt all the bad things in life, and somehow
and that's not how
I'm
it
going
happens.
to have all the good things in life.
Right. No.
Without any responsibility, that
Right.
somehow I still don't have to look after the least of these.
Moses was in the desert, never made it to the promised land.
And that's most of our experience.
Right.
Is that we don't get the crossover.
We wander.
We wander.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's
not a
that's
bad
the
thing.
part of our journey.
We
is
are
a lot
people
of
living
wandering.
in between the fulfillment, or between the promise and fulfillment.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah. I like that.
That's what keeps me going right now. Mm-hmm.
Is that what keeps you going right now?
So I expect to just hear that a lot. This is dark. We've not gone a single day, I think, in the existence of the world where someone wasn't murdered.
What's the first thing that happens after they get thrown out?
Cain and Abel.
Cain and
Oh
Abel
my
is
gosh,
like the next story.
Right. It's like there's all the we were talking about today, like the divisiveness. Okay, well, that's the first thing that happens outside the garden.
Right.
Is the divisiveness. Cain is jealous
Mm-hmm.
of his brother, so he kills him.
Yeah.
It's like in that moment, it's like because you don't hear about Adam and Eve again until later because Seth, but there's Seth, third child.
Seth.
Yeah.
Who's Seth?
Yeah, see?
Nobody knows
See?
who Seth
exactly.
is.
Third child. But it's just like in that moment, in that space, there's two people existing in the world and one kills the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Come on!
But again, that's what that story transcended.
But then it just keeps going.
That's the transcendent truth of it all.
We've not had a day where someone's not killed.
That violence seems to be, and then we blend violence, and then we create divinely mandated violence, right?
Yeah.
So we've got
Look at
Old Testament
Nineveh through
scriptures,
the eyes of nails.
Old Testament scriptures that's all about,
Right.
you know, I need,
Wrath.
what I need right now is that wrath God.
Right. The Lord your God is wrathful and
to
avenging.
take him out and to do the things that I need that God to do.
Right.
So, God, you take out those 500 and that will make us all better. So you're still doing the kind of, who am I going to take out?
Yeah, it's just.
And the same thing is, you know, if we want to, that's why I always like the thought experiment of heaven. Because we've turned salvation into an individual reward thing. So you're standing at the gates of heaven to receive your reward, and your spouse is there. Mm-hmm. And St. Peter says, congratulations, you make it in, but your spouse did not. So do you go, too bad for you, bye, and you head off into heaven?
No, you give up your spot so they go in.
Or does heaven, you know, heaven can't be heaven. Because this, or, you know, to make it even harder,
I like that.
It's your child. Spouse is a choice.
Right.
But what if it's your child? You get there, you're a mom or a dad, you've made it.
You passed the
But
whatever.
your child has not. Can it still be heaven, right? With the individual reward, can you kill your you kill your child and send them off to eternal damnation in good conscience and then take that step away and go into heaven?
No, because it's not an individual reward.
But again, the way it gets told and the way people get thinking about it, it's all about you, because it's not a family thing. It's never, well, if one person of the family gets, I mean, even a few years ago when it was all about the Left Behind stuff.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, if we could never bring that back, I'm okay with that.
People seem to almost, take some sort of perverse pleasure.
Right.
That in a family, it might be a couple members of the family, but not others.
But not all of them. Right.
So those who suddenly disappeared and their clothes were left behind, like the foolishness of that story kind of said. Yeah. Yes, I did call it foolishness. That scarred a lot of us. That scarred. But somehow those two or whatever, either they get struck with amnesia so they can't remember anything, and all that anybody they may have loved or whatever, it's like, oh well, I mean, or something. No. Somehow you enter into the glory of heaven, and
the hell aspect of that is
the trauma of that is immediately forgotten. That's not real trauma.
No, that would be hell.
Be all right.
That would be hell.
Oh no, that's wonderful.
If 5 of us are standing here, and 3 of us are all of a sudden descended. Right. The other 2, you're left behind. That's hell.
But isn't that, again, what's the difference between that and the cross that Jesus turns to face in Jerusalem?
Right.
What is truly the difference?
Is there one?
I don't think there is.
Right.
It's still me at the sacrifice of you.
Of you, right.
Right? And the whole Christian message, the whole abundant life on the other side, the cross that Jesus tells his disciples to take up is a cross of service where it's you and not me. It just flips it.
Right.
But it's a flip we can't make, because it's still me and not you. But that's that resurrection is when it's not me.
Right.
It's you.
It's you.
The whole Matthew 25, it's the people that go and they're surprised.
Right.
They're surprised because when did
we never saw that.
When did we stop? It's like they can't remember when we stopped being all about me and suddenly became about you. Mm-hmm. The whole incarnation is about God coming to be you and being fully present with you where you're at in your whatever
Right.
piece of life and humanity and who you are and all your messed upness and sin and everything. Well, God descends to you, right?
Yeah.
Not continues to stay far off and say,
right.
keep trying.
Right.
Someday,
No, and that's how it goes.
You'll be good enough, and then I'll reach out and give you that little helping hand. But you got to make it 99% of the way, and I'll do the last 1%.
No.
Okay, how about this? I'll get you 99% of the way, but you still have to do the last 1% yourself.
No.
What do you mean, no?
The goodness and the glory is that God meets you where you are at when you're there.
But that's not what we do. And we even pervert our own faith, so we don't do that. We continue to wear the crosses that we wear. Are they the cross of the resurrection, or are they still the cross of the Roman crucifixion, right?
Yeah, I used to wear one. I don't wear it anymore because it's like,
Is it empty? The empty cross means more than there's no body hanging on it.
Right.
The empty means that thing that not only has power over us, but that we use to have power over others.
Yeah.
Is empty.
It's gone.
And pointless and fruitless. And let me show you what true abundant life is. Step through the mirror, Alice, and let me show.
All right.
So I think sometimes that's what our invitation is.
Right.
Step through
Just
the mirror.
come here.
Just step through the mirror a little bit. Just peek through a little bit.
Imagine just get your eyeball up to it.
Yeah. Even just imagine what might be on the other side there. Die to that. Die to that, Meg. So you may find life, true life on the other side. Die to that. Isn't that again a lot of what that is? Isn't that what our language is saying?
Yeah. Die
to that so that you may have life.
Stop being mean so you can.
Sometimes it's just stop being so mean.
Yeah.
Stop finding ways to be cruel to other people.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
Let go of some cruelty.
Right.
If there's somebody that you think, I don't understand you, or you gotta go down to them. You gotta wash the feet. You've gotta.
There's like no
you
reason
gotta
to
approach
be cruel
as
to
the
somebody.
No.
Right.
There's no reason to be cruel to somebody. And that Holy Week stuff says, instead of cruelness, put on that towel.
Right.
Go down and to go to the feet.
Right.
See the dirt that's there. That's really getting to somebody's humanity.
Yeah.
Which is why I think
the realness.
That's why so many people are very uncomfortable.
Right. You're like
getting with foot, because
not my feet.
Something about your feet, unless you've got some sort of weird fetish or something, but something. Generally speaking,
feet
are almost like revealing some secret about myself.
Right.
And I don't want you to see that. I don't want you to handle that.
It's like, no thanks.
I don't want you to apply any
I don't want you to be a part of that.
to that.
Right.
But that's the movement our faith points us towards. Well, thanks for letting me talk today.
You're welcome.
You always kind of crowd the conversations.
Yeah, I always talk too much, so I figured it was time for you to talk this time.
Here on our episodes. Liar. Here on Mondays with Meg.
And Tom.
And we'll see you next time.
Next time.
We will see you next time.
Yeah, we will.
Or else.
Or else.
We'll come find you.
Oh, boy.